Hello everybody and welcome back to Middle-earth in the 4th Age Total War Dominion of Men. This is a mod for Rome Total War Barbarian Invasion that is set after the events of the War of the Ring. We've got new kingdoms arising, some old kingdoms breaking up. It's a very interesting time, and a mod that I've had a lot of involvement with over the years. But what I want to do today is take a look at Harad. This is one of the larger factions on the map, and one of the easier factions to play, at least as a starting faction. They're estimated to be somewhat easier than some of the others, but I still find them a lot of fun when you're in a particular mood, and the mood I'm in today is Expansionist Tyrant, and so we're going to be playing that up a bit. We're going to treat this not quite as a Let's Play, not quite as a guide, but kind of somewhere in the middle. One of the things that I love to do with Harad is sort of throw my weight around diplomatically, and so that's going to be the goal of this series. We're going to take this in stages, though, and the stage I want to attempt today is grinding down our neighbor to the north, Harandor. This is another sort of Haradrian Southron faction, I guess, although it does have some Dunedainic elements, and we'll be taking them on, so let's get into it. Now, our goal with Harandor is not to eliminate them as a faction, but to make them our protectorate. And so hopefully we'll be able to do that, if not in this episode, then in the next one. What we need to do in order to do that is bring total military and economic dominance to bear. And Harad is a great faction to acquire both of those things. You've got a lot of money that you can make relatively quickly, and you've got a lot of troops you can get into position relatively quickly as well. If we take a look at where we are positioned, we've got most of our strength right here in the west where our map is currently centered. Our capital here is Umbar City. We've got a lot of armies and troops stationed in these cities, but they're not doing us a lot of good right here. So what we will want to do is gradually bring all of them up to the north and probably use some of our fleets that are stationed around to just ferry troops across. But the other thing we're going to want to use the fleets for is managing the fleets of the Reunited Kingdom, which is going to be a major hassle early in the campaign. If we can fight the Reunited Kingdom with the Navy, then we won't have to fight them with our military, and that's going to keep things a lot easier for us. Other territories we have farther inland, as you can tell, are more strung out, very far from each other, and they stretch along this very lengthy border with our farthest eastern outpost at Karis Agar, surrounded by a couple of rebel settlements, but also the full faction of Khand to the north and Far Harad to the south. Now, Far Harad actually has a pretty lengthy border with us, and so they start in a position of alliance with Harandor. Since Harandor is going to be my target early on, we're going to potentially face some conflict with Far Harad, but I think it's something we can manage. So let's get all of our stuff together and take a look at what happens at the end of the first turn here. Okay, we've done the usual thing that I like to do, which is get all of the armies out of these western settlements and start sending them where I want them. In this case, we're getting them all up to the region of Habad. We're going to get them on this ship of war that I've left with just a single boat here, with the intention of just using it to make this short trip across the mouth of the Harnan River into enemy territory. We're bringing up the Emperor's forces here, which have some pretty good units, including these Palace Guard, very elite, Scarlet Shields as well. Some really good stuff. We're actually completely emptying Umbar City, which is always a risky move, but there's no enemies around, and I don't think there's any way that this could be threatened. So we are training some stuff just in case, but we've also emptied out the forts. These forts are capable eventually of training some limited units, and we've taken out the useful stuff, as well as just basically everything from around here. When we go inland, though, we have to be a little careful, because this settlement and this one and Carenbad is actually just Carenbad and Athendad share a border with Far Harad. does not. It shares a border with this long rebel settlement here along the southern flank of the Mountains of Shadow. We are sending one of our agents over to scout this rebel settlement and check it out. The danger is not so much in the early game, but a little bit later if Khand takes this settlement over, because then they will have access to, well, all the way over here, and they can send a sneak attack down this way. So we're emptying the garrison now, getting our troops ready to head north. One of the main forces here is featuring our Mumakil, which is, of course, a great unit to have early on. And we're bringing up some support in the form of some of these other generals who are just sort of sitting around. With our navies, we've got them in a position to keep an eye on the Reunited Kingdom. We've got this fleet here as just a scouting fleet. It's not really intended to do a lot of work in terms of fighting. We do not have the strongest units in this fleet, but it'll slow down, and it can, from this position, see both the ports of Pelargir and Lynn here. We've got our big fleets with the Corsair Marauders as well as the Dromans together in a single unit here, so hopefully together they can deal with these Reunited Kingdom ships. Otherwise, we've got some backup at other points, and we are going to be training fleets down in Umbar City. This is the only place you can train your Marauders initially, and they're actually a steal at just 110 upkeep for 120 soldiers, so there's no reason not to keep training these guys. Again, our coastline is potentially vulnerable to attack, especially this island settlement here that has no walls. So we want to use our ships as our walls, essentially. The other thing that you can say about the early game as Harad is you have a ton of agents that you just start off with. So we've got a scout that starts up around Daggerlad, but I'm bringing him down south through Ithilien. It's more relevant for me to keep an eye on events in Harondor, since this is the place we're targeting first. And we start with actually 3 assassins, or rogues as they are called in the mod, and I'm using them essentially as kind of cheap spies. We're bringing them around into Harondor's territory. They can do some counter-assassination, I guess, to targeting enemy agents, particularly other rogues. And they can also, if we want, do a lot of damage to infrastructure. I don't think that's something I'll be doing with Harondor, because the goal is to quickly overwhelm them and just take over their cities. Our other rogue is scouting out over here, as we said earlier, and our last one, with an excellent amount of skill, is right down here, just next to Athendad. We're going to send him over towards Far Harad, because they do have a settlement somewhere around here, and we want to keep an eye on that. We only have 1 emissary, but we will want to change that up, because again, it's important for diplomacy that we keep tabs on our enemies and our potential rivals. So let's go ahead and advance a few more turns. We'll get our armies into position and see what it looks like there. Well, it's the AI's turn, and we have made some progress. We've moved our Emperor's army across the mouth of the Harnan River, and we're camped right outside Haradland. We are ready to besiege that settlement, and as you can tell, it's incredibly undefended. We've got another similarly weakly garrisoned settlement up here along the coast, and these are the only 2 settlements of Harondor that border the water. So we kind of want those for ourselves. It'll be very useful for trade, even if we're at war with the Reunited Kingdom as we are currently. We've been managing to stave off their attacks for the past couple of turns, so that's all good news. As for the army that's in Harlorn, I tend to just leave it there and forget about it. There's really not too much you can do with it. The Dominion building you can build there from turn 1 is very expensive, and although we certainly have the cash to afford it, it seems like a little bit of a waste, especially if the Reunited Kingdom's going to send down an army that could just take it over very easily. So I usually like to wait until I've gotten my borders settled before I start worrying about really defending some of these other settlements. But the main action, the main event here, is that we've set up our army under a dude of Upper Haradwaith. We decided that he was a slightly better general than Tanari, and we've positioned him on what seems to be some high ground here, and we're of course attacked by an army of Harondor. So we'll see how this battle goes. They have, it's pretty evenly matched. They've got some good stuff. The units I'm most worried about now, though, are the archers of Harad. They can use flaming ammunition, which is going to potentially be a big problem for our elephants. They've also got a decent amount of cav and some very strong units in these Harondor armsmen, which are really some of the key units for Harondor. We can stomp these guys pretty well with our elephants and cav, but if the archers are going to be a problem, that's of course not going to be easy. So we'll see how this goes. Well, I'm not going to lie, I thought the terrain would be a little more in our favor. As you can see, we do not have a very marked height difference. We're clearly on a hill if you look at the surrounding countryside, but it looks like the enemy managed to just sneak a little bit uphill of us, and so we're going to be fairly evenly matched here. But we've set up our line on some higher ground as we can find. What we've got here are some plainsmen skirmishers. These are probably the weakest of the skirmisher type units in the mod, actually. No shield. They're pretty fast, and they can do damage with those javelins, so it's useful to have them, at least for screening. But I imagine a lot of these guys are going to die to arrow fire because the enemy does have archer superiority. Right behind them, though, we've got some footmen of Harad. This, again, is your absolute lowest tier spear infantry. They're going to be okay in the middle, and they'll just hold off the enemy, hopefully just long enough for us to bring our cavalry to bear Over on our left, we've got some Swords of Harad, the infamous Swords of Harad, both of them keyed to fire at will with their javelins. And over on the other side, we've got a very nice looking unit, Spearmen of the Serpent. Very, very solid. Hopefully it'll be very useful against the cavalry we're going to face. And behind them, the shieldless but very aggressive Corsairs of Umbar. Another unit I really like the look of, but we're going to use them mostly for flanking if we can. We do have archers of our own, and they're hiding in the tall grass right now, which is very cool, but they're not going to be too decisive in this fight, I imagine. Just get a few extra kills. And then on the right, for cavalry, we've got our Horsemen of the Harnan. This is a very solid unit. Lancers, pretty light, very fast, good charge bonus, and good numbers too. That's going to continue to be a strength that you'll notice for the armies of Harad. 3 of them together is going to be very, very effective. And then over on our left, we've got the Mumakil. Now with Mumakil, the thing that I find is there's a little bit of a danger in that they are faster than any other unit. So they're big, they can cover a lot of ground very quickly, and they can outrun your cav. And so if they get surrounded and shot up with arrows or javelins, they can be extremely vulnerable. So I like to have cavalry near them. These Herodwaith riders are good at following up very swiftly, and so although they're not super strong in melee, their numbers are usually good enough to be effective. And then at the very front, we did start with a unit of Plainsmen mounted skirmishers. A really cool looking unit, and I really like these guys, but we can't train them ourselves until we start capturing territory in Harandor, I think. And of course, in the center, we've got our general here, the Serpent Black. So we're going to see, it looks like we're enticing these Horsemen of the Harnan to start charging in. Let's actually get them stuck in with the spears. And the thing we'll want to do is make sure that our Mumakil are not getting targeted by the enemy archers. It looks like we're capturing those enemy cavalry, however. So to that end, yeah, let's send the elephants in here. And we just want to keep moving. The enemy's bringing their own infantry to bear. We've got some very, very solid Harondor armsmen who are doing very well against our own infantry. What we need to do is just keep up the pressure on these archers. Mounted skirmishers over on the right, taking on our Harondor riders. We should have the advantage in this. And there they go. But the archers are firing at our elephants, so we've got to put a stop to that as quickly as we can. Alright, it looks like the center has been routed. This is just footmen, so it's not unexpected. We can bring our general around, and he's going to cause some fear among the infantry. Alright, otherwise we'll just keep this up. Oh, where are you? Right here. What a bunch of jerks. Archers of Harad, target them. They're probably going to rout pretty quickly. Keep on all of these guys and eliminate them as quickly as possible. Okay, so we've got guys skirmishing away. The Corsairs are doing fairly decently. Let's charge in with our general here. We have not taken out the enemy commander. Oh, no, we did very early on. So I think it's time to bring back the elephants. Let's pull our general back. Bring up the cav. Mumakil doing a lot of damage, and that breaks that unit. And we'll hope to do the same here. Definitely took a lot of losses, but that does it. So we'll continue the battle. Alright, with that victory, we've cleared out a pretty large army of Harandor, but we still have a lot of work to do. In the initial phase here, what we want to do to force them into a protectorate state is swiftly take a bunch of their settlements, get them down to, 1 or 2 cities left, and then make sure that all of their field armies are eliminated. So the field armies are kind of the goal just now. What I think, though, I might risk doing is bypassing this army. We'll get some reinforcements up here. Maybe I can find some slightly better ground to stand on. That feels like going downhill, but whatever. We'll combine some of these units and then get this into a truly formidable single stack. And then what I want to do with it is actually move west and go for Harandor pretty early. That'll probably draw the other nearby armies towards me, and hopefully that'll allow us to eliminate a big force and get a city in a single battle. I've made a little progress on the seaboard here. We do have our Emperor Mutamid of Umbar besieging Haradland. I'm going to keep that siege going for a little while. But meanwhile in the north I've also got this other army that was down, I think, down around Umbar initially. I brought it up very close to this other settlement, set it up in the trees here with the hope of maybe triggering an ambush. Now this army's not, you know, super strong, but in an ambush scenario against these units, I think it would stand pretty good odds. But I'm going to bring in some reinforcements here. We're going to bring these guys over, and maybe they can be part of this bait as well. Let's see, they've got movement points to get over. And so this looks a lot stronger, and we could now besiege this settlement, take out this army in addition. Otherwise, in the west, I think the fleets are looking pretty good, but there's always the danger of an army of the Reunited Kingdom just showing up on a boat. So we're going to actually get up in this direction. Looks like there's no fleets over here at Pelargir, and we're going to head up and check Dol Amroth as well. Okay, we've been pretty vigilant lately, and I haven't seen any forces assembling at any of these ports. So far, so good. But again, if we lose Harlorn, not the end of the world. Over here, though, we do have a situation where Harandor is sort of approaching us. I think I'm just going to ignore these armies and move directly to Harngond. I'd rather reserve the big battle for the city itself. Oh, it looks like Harandor is not willing to let us approach their capital, but interestingly, it looks like they've emptied it. I believe that banner is a little smaller than it was before. So we've got a couple of armies to contend with here. I think we should have no trouble with this. These Harandor footmen are essentially like the Dunedain militia that we see in the Reunited Kingdom. Tharbad can train a similar unit, and they've got some plainsmen mounted skirmishers, but we've got a few more archers in this army now, so I think we should be okay at seeing them off. Down here, again, they've only got one archer and a couple of units of cav, so no family members yet. The odds are definitely in our favor here. So I've set up here on these fields near this, looks like an old abandoned farm. I'm a sucker for these old kind of vanilla landscape touches. Very, very cool atmospheric stuff. But we've got the major army approaching off in the distance. It'll take them a while to get here, and that gives us all sorts of time to deal with this. The mounted skirmishers are going to be a little bit annoying, so let's get our own light cav over there. The rest of it, we can just deal with Mumakil, I think, and that should be able to handle it. The archers of Harad are probably going to be able to shoot pretty quickly, but let's rush over there and try to bring this to a close before that occurs. We don't want to get too much friendly fire going. That was a little underwhelming of a Mumakil charge, I've got to say. Let's go right straight into those plainsmen mounted skirmishers. You can see that our Mumakil can actually catch up to them, so it's a very, very effective unit. They can even catch horse archers. So if you're playing as Khand, you may have noticed that to your horror, that your cav archer heavy armies are being outpaced by these giant elephants. They are getting bogged down here. I think there's some terrain obstacles. Oh no! Oh no, you will pay for this. Ah, so they got stuck in the terrain. It looks like there's these rocks and all these spearmen. So a big blocky spear formation can actually be a problem for these guys. Alright, the enemy's finally approaching, taking them a long time to get up here. None of our units are hidden, so I don't think that's the issue. But they're starting with a skirmish, which is not going to go too well, as we do have archers firing on them right now. I'm a little concerned that they're going to try to do some outflanking stuff with their cav. Well, unfortunately, the enemy army has approached and decided to withdraw. I'm not going to pursue them. I could go after them with my one Mumakil unit and probably catch a bunch and do some damage with that, but I'm just going to let them get off the battlefield. We'll see where they go. Okay, they didn't go too far, as it turns out. Although they probably, they probably went down into Harngond, and they've brought up some other units here. So this is an opportunity for us to really take out a huge amount of their army in one blow if we put Harngond under siege. I think I'm going to risk that. Alright, with Harndor under siege, I need to send my spy around because there was another army. Here we go. Okay, so that may head down as well. I want to call them back, though. I don't want to necessarily get everybody in on this fight, so I'll set up right outside Lond New Elanath. That may be enough to entice one of these armies to head back and try to save one of those cities. Currently, we've got three of their settlements under siege, and these are the three that I want, actually. Ultimately, the goal is to leave Harmen in Harandor's hands, because this is going to share a border with, well, one of these Dunedainic factions, ultimately. And I'd rather not invite a war from this front. And I'm also happy to leave Harandor with Rad Harnen. I really don't feel like I need it. We can certainly get them down to these two, maybe just this one, and try for protectorate status. Oh, here we go. It's not all of the armies that I would have preferred, but it is a couple of big ones, and they do slightly outnumber us here, and the balance of power does not look to be in our favor. They've got their ruler and another family member, and these command a very, very strong unit, the Harondor retainers. Frighten the nearby enemy, that's infantry and cavalry. They've got lances for that bonus versus riders and large creatures, including Mumakil. Good morale, powerful charge, fast moving, a very, very good unit. All the rest of it, though, is stuff we've already fought, and they don't have too many archers. They've got a lot of skirmishers, in fact, so we might be able to bring our own cavalry to bear against them if we can take out these two. The army that's hitting us is nothing too special, to be honest. Some footmen, some skirmishers, cav, and archers. So let's see how this works. Well, our ground is not the best. We've got a little bit of high ground here. What we want to do is quickly get up to seize what we can, and then this is the big army, the Garrison army with the Prince of Harondor approaching in the distance. This is the much smaller army, so I think we get a nice position on this hill. We can take them out and then deal with the second army. Now, unfortunately, we do not have our next, our second Mumakil unit. We've only got the one, so we're going to have to use him in a little more cautious mode this battle. But I think we should be okay. We've got him surrounded with our cavalry, and so we can use him as a support unit, essentially. But we have to be very targeted with how that works. Now, as soon as we get within firing range here, as some of our archers are, we should be drawing this army towards us. And we want to do that quickly. We want to have plenty of time to defeat them and then turn to face these reinforcements. First target's going to be the skirmishers. That's fine. Again, they're, like us, going to be unshielded, so it should be a pretty easy target for our bows. All right, here comes the main element of their army. It looks like a pretty disordered rush. We've got our skirmishers screening. They're probably going to make contact, as is usually the case. My skirmishers tend to be a bit slow to get out of the way. Alright, we now want to turn our focus to those archers. The enemy army's coming up pretty quickly here. But we've beaten that side, so let's turn. Here come the horsemen of the Harnen. We've got spears ready, so let's get them in place. And actually, I think if they're going to detach themselves from those footmen, I think we'll risk a charge of our own. Bring our own spearmen to bear. Alright, if you can pull off a charge, you can do pretty well. I'm not sure if we're going to catch him. I think we probably will. Let's change our focus to these footmen, though. We don't want to get much friendly fire if we can help it. we're getting some ridiculous stuff here as the enemy spearmen are going after our cav, our spearmen are going after their spearmen. We're just going to let this guy get off the battlefield. It's not essential that we catch him. Much more important that we deal with the enemy family members that are going to approach. Alright, so to that end, I think we can... Okay, great. Everybody's routing. Let's now turn. You have this one unit that, again, I think we're just going to leave. We can probably make something happen, though, with our own cavalry that's over here. Or just ignore them. They're pretty weak currently. Harad riders are marching. Let's turn to kind of face them. Alright, here comes the family member. This is what I needed to watch out for. Our cavalry are getting beaten over there. Alright, let's get the elephant out of there. Out, out, out. Spearmen need to come. We need to swamp these guys with infantry and bring our own spearmen around. Oh my gosh, but they've got a lot of good units. Right, let's go after them with the general, I guess. These units are also going to have pretty high morale on account of the king being with them. Yeah, I mean, look how well that unit of Harad riders held out. Okay, we're going to just ignore some of these units. We're going to pull back and skirmish. Let's, in fact, deal with that. Okay, there's the last of those units from the other army. We'll go after the footmen with our corsairs. These other units here can just keep skirmishing. Let's send the elephants after the swords. I think we should be okay there. Alright, we took out those horsemen of the Harnan. Maybe we can deal with these skirmishers now. We just need to hold this for a while. The retainers there are losing heavily. This is the general unit, and this is the other family member. They're down quite a bit. I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. Alright, let's get the bodyguard out. This is going a lot slower than it should. We're probably getting targeted by missile units. Alright, we can send these archers in for melee duty. I think we're going to have to. Alright, we get some routing happening finally. Let's head back into this infantry knot with the elephants. Alright, archers of Harad out of arrows. We're going to bring them in. Everyone's in melee, and that was a great charge. Oh, but here come the arrows. Harandor armsmen are winning easily. It's not really a big surprise to me that they are. Enemy commander slain. We gotta kill these archers. Okay, the routing finally. Bring the elephants back. Let's take out these armsmen. Skirmishers can be on router duty. Alright, Swords of Harad. I think we can charge in with the general on them. Let's see how this goes. Okay, good. Broke them, and let's push on through. We've got to kill the king. We can't just let him run away. If he does, we don't get the city.
The king should disgrace himself so outrageous.
There he goes, killed by Mumakil Tusk. Awesome. We're going to continue this and get back to the campaign map. Oh no, I was expecting that maybe this would happen. So we definitely cleared out the city. That's the good news. The bad news is we're attacked again. Now, I think we should be able to handle this, though. Looks like this army has no cavalry, but it does have some of the formidable infantry that we've seen. We've got some Harandor armsmen here. It's a very cool looking unit, actually. And some of the footmen as well. But we're going to focus on the archers again. They're really the most dangerous unit for the elephants anyway. But we can do the same thing of sort of swinging our cavalry around to the left. Hopefully that will keep them busy. Now let's get our Corsairs into these Harandor armsmen. And then everyone else, I think we can throw towards the footmen. Let's be a little proactive with our skirmishers, I guess. We can move them around to the flanks. Oh, no, 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 no. Stop shooting fire at my elephants. Okay, we've pushed them. They're not firing anymore. This army is going to be a lot more vulnerable than the others to morale shocks. All right, indeed we have captured Harondor. The face is yellow, so public order is just okay. I think we will go ahead and lay desolate. There's a lot of people in the city here. That's going to help quite a bit. And we're going to want to keep this army out and around, moving around to just take care of whatever. Now, let's see. We can destroy some stuff here. Hosting halls are, I think, the level 3 barracks. So that's where they're getting some very, very nice things. But because this is a faction and a region that is pretty hospitable for our faction, we can keep most of these buildings intact. The one I want to get rid of, and we should get rid of almost in every case, is the Homeland Dominion. We're not playing as Harandor, so we should destroy that. And we can get to work building our own. We have been saving money as well. You may notice I've not been doing a lot of building in the homelands. And that's partly because I want to wait for my governors to get good. There is a trait called attuned, which some of our governors by now have. If we take a look at our heir, for example, he's a very good governor anyway. But now that he's been in the settlement for several turns, he has acquired the attuned governor trait, which decreases construction costs and gives him a bunch of other bonuses. So it's worth letting your governors hang around where they're going to be governing, and then giving them some time to acclimate themselves to the settlement. But I don't have a lot of governors. One of the things I do in the initial stages is lower taxes everywhere. That improves your faction leader's authority, makes everyone else, all the other family members, more loyal to him, and brings in more money that way. Makes them better governors and generals too. So low taxes increases your faction leader's authority, makes everyone happy. But to sort of show myself where I've got governors, I put some of these places on what's sometimes called auto-manage or local governance. This is also going to improve the loyalty of these men. So by loyalty, I actually mean this trait. Right underneath energetic, intelligent, and uncharismatic, there's a trait here that's internally referred to as the opinion of liege trait. This one here is staunch. This is very good. He's got a strong sense of duty to his lord, and there's a lot of explanation here in the tooltip you can read. But he's getting a lot of bonuses to income in various ways, troop morale, and other things like that. So part of keeping a settlement on local governance is that it increases his loyalty. So every place that I have a governor, I want to make sure it's a decent governor first of all, and then I want to put it on auto manage. But you can still untick these other boxes to control the building and training yourself. But at any rate, we've got up to 72. We're closing in on 80 grand. I like to be up over 100,000 before I really start going for a protectorate, and we've got a little bit of work to do yet. So let's go for a little bit further here. And I've just received word that a spy of the Principality of Harad has been kicked out of Athendad. This is a settlement that shares a border with Harad, and so I have to be a little careful about what's coming next. Usually when you see enemy or rival agents hanging around your cities, it's kind of an indication that you're about to be attacked. So I need to get my own. I've created a scout over here in Garrison. We'll start to bring him over in this direction. Oh yeah, we've got some enemy rogues. They could be doing all sorts of bad stuff. So we want to be just keeping a watch. I've left some troops here, and we can quickly raise an army in this region to help. So I'm not too concerned yet, but we do have to be aware of it. Another place I've been paying attention to training is Karrenbad. A very important settlement. Is kind of a linchpin of your inland settlements. It's a chief city, which means you can build everything here. And it's also a pretty useful settlement for training because it's already built up pretty well. So we're just going to keep training units here pretty much every turn, just alternating what we're doing. In terms of building, I've gone ahead and started some construction in Karasagar, but we'll see if it's enough because we have an army of Harad that is approaching. We did get another family member popping in, so that could help. And we do have more mercenaries available, so we'll just keep training those. These Southeron skirmishers are pretty much good every single time you see them, pick them up. And we'll go ahead and train another unit of skirmishers too. Hopefully that'd be enough to deter these guys from attacking. I'd like to maintain peace with them for a little bit longer. And there are still rebels in the area, so they may be maybe preferring to attack these targets, but we'll see. In the north, in Harandor, there was an army that had been marching over in this direction, it looked like. I don't see them anymore. So let's head down through the trees here. Okay, they're not visible to me, which means they're probably either going back to defend one of these settlements. That could be it, or they could be hiding in the trees. So we're going to wait a little bit longer. This settlement's going to just fall in a couple of seasons, and then we'll bring armies over in this direction. This family member, though, a dude who took out those big armies, he's a better commander than he is a governor. So I don't think I want to leave him inside Harngond. If I do, he's going to get the title for the settlement. We will train another spy here. We'll lower taxes, which is something that I forgot to do. And then we'll go ahead and take him right out and see how many men we can leave behind for public order purposes. Okay, that's actually great. I can bring him over here, and what I can do is bring over some of these family members who have just been sitting around because they're just sort of extras. So we can fit them all in this army. Let's bring him over here, get him on enemy territory. Hopefully that'll encourage them to try something. And we'll see what their response is. I'm thinking about bringing this rogue down here, where he might be more useful to do some counter-agent stuff. So we'll send him after that. It's 53% chance. That's fine. In terms of Mumakil, I don't have anything yet, but I can build one in the settlements that have the ivory resource. It's a special building I'll need to build. I'm a little bit far from doing it now. So the Mumakil I start with are the Mumakil I'm going to try to keep for as long as possible, of course. Okay, there's an army of Harondor. I'm not sure if it's the army that I had seen earlier. Let's just flush out these trees there. Only one season left for Haradland, and this is just a noble. It's not the king, it's not the heir, which is good because I don't want to eliminate the faction. Up here we do have another noble, so probably the royal family is somewhere around these two settlements. Let's take the spy out of Harngond then. Yeah, it looks like we've got something up here. Okay, there's the heir, and just a random army standing outside. And down here, there's the ruler. All right. So, what I may want to do is put this under siege, not necessarily with the aim of taking it, but potentially with the aim of encouraging them to sally and defeating them in the field. They may feel strong enough to beat my army because it has to be said it's relatively weak. We do have a ton of family members though, so I'm not sure how strong they're going to feel. And Haradland falls without a fight, which is always nice. So our emperor there is going to be probably lacking in supplies. We've been besieging it for probably a couple of years now. But we'll take it. I don't know that we need to lay desolate. Maybe we'll just occupy this one. And now we've got a free army, so what we need to do is just leave maybe one unit behind. Okay, maybe more than that. But if we go on low taxes, actually, it's 85%. I think I will be vigilant about the Dominion buildings. We'll keep building towards our own here. We're going towards Homeland Dominion in Harondor, and that's the nice thing about taking land in Harandor. It's all homelands for you, so it's a lot easier to develop. But let's bring our faction leader and his army over in this direction. It looks like Harandor is moving out towards us. The tricky part now is going to be to deplete their forces sufficiently, right? So what we don't want to have happen is them to have big garrisons. I'd like, in fact, for them to move out some of these units. I'm not sure exactly how to accomplish that, but maybe what I can do is move this army, off somewhere towards Harmen, make them think that they can attack me with these other units. So let's do that. Let's remove the siege, and we'll let them. And maybe I'll pull back with this army as well, and then they'll be more inclined maybe to go after this smaller-looking army. We're kind of using a dude there as bait at the moment, but I think that's okay. All right, so we managed to take out that assassin of Far Harad. Hopefully that'll keep them off our back for a little while. They don't have any forces in the area, which is fantastic. Don't even have walls here, so this could be an easy grab, but we want to limit the amount of wars we're fighting at once. Off in the east, that big army seems to have moved off in this direction. We may be able to find it over here. Yeah, they're heading for this rebel settlement, so we'll just keep eyes on it. Once these settlements start to drop, we're going to have the other factions declaring war on us soon enough. And we have been hounded somewhat by Khan. They keep asking for trade. I keep declining. I'm just pressing the X button to get rid of that. The reason is it seems as though the AI prefers to attack once they've had trade going for a little while. So that's something I just do as a matter of course. If an AI is asking me for trade, I tend to refuse unless I'm ready to go to war with them. Alright, he actually looks quite good. I can always use good governors. He's intelligent as well, which is very nice. So we'll take him, and he is down at Karas Agar, which is actually way over here. That's kind of good as well. We've got this old family member who's good himself, but he's getting up there in age. He's now seasoned, and he won't be around too much longer. The previous son of his is incompetent, so that's not going to work out. We'll keep this guy right here for governing duty, essentially. And it looks like Parchereb has indeed fallen to Khan. We've got to be very vigilant then. In fact, I might hop out and just see if there's any other mercenaries. None yet, but we are periodically picking up mercenary swording skirmishers as we find them. And we have built this up to the point where we can start to train some very useful stuff. Tier 2 for Harad is great. You get archers, you get swords of Harad, and you get some cav, Haradwaith riders, which are, numerous, not the cheapest, but there's a lot of them. All right, we're almost at 90,000, and we're making 6,000 a turn. We've just finished our Homeland Dominion here in Harondor, so we could start on other projects. I'm not super anxious to do that just yet. I think what we'll do is we'll get our emissary down here. We'll give them a shot, because this is about to fall. We'll give Harandor a chance. We'll bring our emissary over. We'll do the trick of just leaving your offers as map information and nothing else and seeing if they want anything. And, okay, so they want a ceasefire. This is actually very, very good. What we're going to do here instead is offer, let's see, let's offer a lot more money. So we don't want a ceasefire, but we want accept overlordship as our demand. We'll give them a bunch of money. We'll give you map information. I don't want to give Harngand necessarily, so let's try it without that. Let's try. We will go ahead and give Haradland. I don't think I've done anything with that. Okay, we'll give Haradland. We'll give map information. Instead of 24, let's just offer it all. Let's give all of our money. So this is going to be 88,000. We'll give you map information. We'll give you a settlement back, but you have to accept our overlordship. Are you going to take it? No, they're not. Okay, so we don't have quite enough cash. Maybe it's the settlement that they don't like. The AI sometimes needs to be convinced to accept settlements. But in any case, we'll wait. This settlement will fall, and then we'll try it again. So Lond New Elanath has fallen. We do have the option of laying desolate, and why not? We'll get some extra cash out of it. That was the end of one of their family members. We've got a suitable husband here, but I'm going to say no. So we definitely took out one of their family members there, but they've got some others tucked away. This is still the heir, so the faction leader must be down in Rad Harnan. We just can't see him or the others. This may make Harandor a little more likely to submit. We just have to find their emissary, if they still have one alive. There he is. So let's send him over there. Before we do any spending, we've got up to 95,000. We've got them down to just these two settlements. We've just taken Lon New Elanath from them. That's hurt their military a little bit. Let's go and see what they have to say. We'll try the trick again of map information, see if they still want a ceasefire. They do. And so now we can try this again. We don't want ceasefire. We want overlordship. We will give, let's see. Let's offer them more cash, first of all. And now that we have up to 95,000, that may be a little more enticing. I don't want to give all of their provinces back either. So let's go with Lond New Elanath and Harad Lond, and we'll try those two. Map information. We'll give all of our treasury. We'll give a couple of recent settlements back. What do you say? Still no dice. Well, we can try some other things. One thing I have in mind is to bring over all of these guys, with the exception of the footmen of Harad. We'll leave them there. Public order is still fine, so we'll keep taxes on low. And we'll bring him over because I'm a little curious to see if this will help. I think the AI, in determining relative strength, actually takes into account the numbers of units that are in the province. You'll notice, for example, that the AI doesn't see more than one province away from you. So if I had a completely empty garrison here and no troops in the province, but if I had a massive, like, 5-stack army up here, Harandor, assuming they could, would probably just send a tiny force to try to take Harngond. They don't plan for the giant armies that are a province away from them. So I think what they do then is they look at what's rate relevant to them at the time, which is right now these two settlements. They're going to look at what they have in the settlements. They're going to look at what I have. Harmen does have this very nice unit of Harandor retainers, and there's quite a lot of them. It's also got a couple of units of swords. And I have some good stuff too, but I also have some kind of junky stuff, at least in terms of the AI. They don't really rate these desert skirmishers very highly. The AI tends to undervalue archers in general, and so these units may not be terribly impressive from their point of view. We're going to bring our other troops over and see if that offers them a little incentive to change their mind, and then we'll just keep offering cash. The other thing I may try next time is not offering settlements. That may just be confusing the AI. I'm not quite sure. But we can certainly destroy some stuff here and then give it another shot. So another issue that could be compounding problems is that Harandor has picked up another ally in the Kingdom of Rovanion. If we take a look at that, Rovanion is usually not a very strong faction. In fact, they tend to be one of the factions that gets eliminated relatively quickly. But Harandor has allied with them, so that may be making them feel stronger than they should. The AI may take this alliance stuff into account when determining how strong it is compared to you. I've got no allies, they've got 2. Maybe that's part of what they're thinking. Got an excellent candidate for a husband here. Expert governor, expert commander, youthful. He's a plainsman, so, you know, we could use him really in any role. Plainsmen are pretty decent. He's lazy, which is going to hurt his hit points a little, and he's a reckless fighter. That's also very bad, so we'll keep him off of the front line, but we'll put him to governing some place. Let's find out where he is. Right at Umbar City. We've already got a governor here, but I would like some governor probably around or Akas Anabon. These can be really wealthy settlements, and so it'd be good to have some extra cash coming in. Okay, this is bad news. Khand and Far Harad have allied up, and so they're not going to be fighting, which means I'm going to be fighting over here somewhere. We can already see them massing units at the borders. This is definitely bad. The good news about Khand, though, is that they're very easy to fight for the most part. They have a lot of archers, and so if you have a lot of archers, you can deal with them. They get a little tricky if they train a lot of melee cav, but usually there's a lot of horse archers, and if you have enough of these guys, you can do pretty well. I'm going to train another couple of units just to stay on top of it. Now, when it comes to development decisions with Harad, you do have to decide where are you going to get your Mumakil. You're limited in that you can only train them in settlements that have the ivory resource. This is the only place you can build that Mumakil training ground. So you've basically got 3. You've got Athendad, you've got Akkas Anabon, and you've got Those are your options. Now, some of these may seem to make sense. Athendad, though, I would think is not a great choice because it's simply too far from your front lines. It's also got a pretty decent trade potential here. We're making 1,800 in trade right now, and we're not even built up very well. We do have a good governor who's bringing in some trade bonuses. Akkas Anabon, similarly, is very lucrative, actually. Over 2,000 in trade with no governor present on low taxes. So you're making a lot of trade, even though this is really not a coastal settlement. It does have this fishing village, but you notice there's not really any trade routes going to it. In other words, a settlement with a lot of trade potential is a place you probably want to go with a financial policy, which is what I've queued up here. That will lock me out of building the Mumakil training grounds. I'll show you what I mean. If we go here, we can check out city development, which is something we can build, at a higher level eventually. To get the Mumakil training grounds, we need to have provinces with the ivory resource and the Lord's barracks and military or open policy. So I think is the best place for your Mumakil training grounds. It's not making as much trade as the others. It's making about half, actually, in terms of trade tariffs, all other things being equal. Now, we do have a war going on here, so the trade is a bit restricted. But regardless, is also beneficial in the sense that it's about in the midpoint of your territories. So you can send those Mumakil east if you need them. You can send them north very easily. At any rate, let's keep going. We can bring our men over and hopefully cause some intimidation among Harandor. Now, if I had to guess, Harandor's emissary is going east, trying desperately to find a Khandian. Yes, they're going to try to get an alliance with Khand. And check this out. Khand is actually on my territory right now. So they're going to do a sneak attack. Once this falls, again, this territory goes all the way over to the upper Harnan River. So that means that they have access all the way to So this is why I've been training up units in Karenbad. Let's, though, give Harandor another chance. We're going to just not be shy about it. We'll do overlordship, and we're going to give you a bunch of cash. All right, it worked. Okay, so no beating around the bush. Just shovel a bunch of money at him, and we'll see how it goes. Now, what we're going to do at this point is basically bring our units down. We don't need them in this theater anymore, but what we do need to do is make sure that we're going to be able to hold this protectorate. Let's examine the diplomacy here. So we've got our new overlordship. This is Harandor, and they're allied with a couple of units that I'm worried about. They're allied with Rovanian, they're allied with Harad, which is the biggest concern, and they're going to be allied with Khand very, very soon indeed. So what I need to do is prevent them from making those alliances, and that is going to be by some preemptive strikes. So I need to make sure, in other words, that I'm going to attack Harad or Khand before they attack me. The general rule is that when a faction is forced to decide between two allies who come to blows, the faction is more likely to side with the one that started the action. Okay, first things first. Harandor is not yet allied with Khand, but I'm thinking they will be soon. I'm going to try to forestall that by attacking Khand first. Let's just get a diplomat down here to make sure. Okay, there's no other units around, so I can send some tiny forces against these couple of units. We don't even need to fight the battle, but we need to start something. We need to start the war. Let's grab everything, in fact. Okay. We'll go up here. We will attack.
Forward. Engage the enemy.
Yes, indeed. And they want to fight, so let's fight. Okay, they don't want to fight. They're retreating. That's fine. Right, back away. So that's just fine. The main thing is that now we're at war with Khand, and hopefully that will mean Far Harad will not even have the option to ally with them. So this is the time for us to shift our attention to Far Harad. I think what we're going to have to do is send some of these units down south. Now it doesn't so much matter if we're attacked by Khand over here because we've got forces that we can bring down to intercept. So I think we can take these guys out of Karenbad. Let's go down here. In the meantime, hopefully we will not get attacked by Far Harad, and even more hopefully, well, keep an eye on the finances button. Okay, Khand approaching us. They want a ceasefire. All right, I'm a little worried about this. Here's what I think. We'll try. Let's see. Demand 10,000. Will they be interested in that? They will give tribute of 1150 for 2 seasons. Come on, you got to do a little better. How about 1,500 for 3? It's still kind of lowballing. 1050 for 4, sure, we'll take it. So we're getting a little bit of cash from them. They're not going to attack us immediately, but probably what's going to happen now is that'll free up Harandor to ally with them. Let's see what that does. Diplomatic information. Harandor has allied with Khand. Yeah, so we're going to have to attack them again immediately. It's basically short-sighted of me. But we'll bring down these units. We'll go ahead. We'll put Adabara under siege. Attack neutral faction. Go with that. Far Harad and Harandor have changed loyalties. Excellent. So what that means, if we check out our diplomacy here, is that now we still have our protectorate, we still have our overlordship of Harandor, and we are at war with Far Harad. Harandor has lost an ally. They still have us, of course. They still have Ravanian. They still have Khand, because I accepted the ceasefire like a fool. But we're going to change that in a moment. We are going to go ahead and we're going to put Parchareb under siege. Let's first grab a couple of mercenaries because, oh yeah, check out our income. We've got 118,781 Mirian this turn. Why do we have that? Well, if we check out our last season's report, you'll notice that we got 113 grand in diplomacy/tributes. Now, some of that may be from our deal with Khand, the ceasefire we just did, but the lion's share of that is going to be from our new protectorate, Harandor. So the way the finances work when you're getting a protectorate in Rome Total War is you basically give them a bunch of cash to do it. That gets their diplomacy meter up to where it needs to be. But when you have a protectorate, that protectorate is going to give you a certain amount of cash over and above their current treasury. So they gave us basically everything that we gave them and then some. Remember that protectorate cost us, I think it was 99 grand. So we made, 99, more than that back, right? So we made a bunch back. Now that's not going to be the end of it, because as long as we maintain this protectorate, they are going to continue sending us tribute, at least for a while. One thing that can foul up the tribute train is if you leave your protectorate landlocked with no trade routes and they've got a big standing army or something like that. So what we could do if we wanted to ensure that Harandor would be paying us a lot of money is we could actually give them some of this territory. If we really wanted to, we could give them like Lond New Elenath, and let them get them some sea trade going, and then, we could do that. I'm not sure that I want to do that, but that's a potential option. All right, so what has that done for us other than financially? Well, to my mind, the greatest benefit of a protectorate is walling off your border from large neighbors that you don't want to spend forever fighting. To wit, the Reunited Kingdom and or Adunabar. Both of those factions can be very large, wealthy, they've got very good units, and they can send them your way endlessly if you share a land border. And so Harandor is for us a buffer state at this point. That's going to mean we do not have to worry about being invaded, at least by land, from the north. We'll still have to keep our navies in place, we'll still have to do this kind of work. We'll just keep these ports blockaded as much as we can, and we'll keep making sure that we've eliminated these fleets as much as we can as well. But now that we have this protectorate here, I'm much less worried. Now we can devote our full attention to the war to our east and south, and we are going to be repeating this process going forward. Let's go another turn just to see how this is going to work out, because we do need to take care of one last alliance, of course. We do need to take care of the alliance that Harandor has formed with Khand. Alright, here's this big army, and so this has, it looks like a mix of some cavalry, infantry, some horse archers, so kind of a big force. I'm going to go ahead and put my army right out here, right outside Parchereb. We'll grab some mercenaries on the way. I'm going to grab all these horse archer units, and then we'll step into this territory. Grab another one. So now we've got 4. Feeling pretty good about that. And we'll attack this neutral faction. Let's see. Khand and Harandor no longer allied. So what we've done, again, we'll go ahead and get the siege rams built. We have isolated our protectorate. Now they have only us and Rovanian as allies. Rovanian I don't care about, because Rovanian is so far away, we're probably never going to share a border, which means we're probably never going to go to war. But for now, I'm perfectly happy with this. We've retained our protectorate. Let's hit end turn one more time and just see what that income looks like. Okay, so now we have a battle to fight. Fair enough. Let's do it. Let's see what we've got. The balance of power does not seem to favor us here, but I think that we've got a pretty decent shot of it, actually. We've got 4 foot archers. We've got 4 horse archers. We can concentrate that pretty well. We've got 4 skirmishers, as well as some decent cav. We're not going to want to come to blows in terms of melee, but I think we can handle it. And this battle is for the city of Parchereb, a very nice little get on the southern flanks of the Mountains of Shadow. We've got the garrison reinforcements coming from off to our left, the north, and straight ahead the large army that was attacking us from the northeast. If we defeat all of these guys, and including the garrison, and kill enough of them on their route, then we will not need to fight for the city, and we'll basically be protecting our northern border along that long strip of territory that lies to the north of us. Khand is not too scary of a faction. Probably the unit that I'm most worried about is their Dragon Guard. This is their very nice looking bodyguard unit. It's a cataphract style unit, which means it's going to get some fear effect on infantry, and I believe really any unit. So this is a potential problem, but they're kind of vulnerable to missiles, and so you can do a lot of damage to them. Let's see, in this army we've got some mostly basic infantry, some nomadic watchmen, we've got some axe types on the flanks, it looks like, tier 2. And on the rear and on the flanks we've got some horse archers as well as some Variag riders. Pretty straightforward stuff for the most part, and it's because it's a mixed army like this, I think we'll be able to do well against them. We are taking a lot of damage on our horse archers, at least some of them, so looks like these step out riders are focus firing on us. We should do the same. But it looks like they are rushing, which is actually a really good move on their part. So what we want to do instead is try to kill their general as quickly as we can. These units are very, very light, and so if we can focus fire on particular units and distract others, and we charge in with our cavalry at the decisive moment, once those guys are not protected. Variag riders are going to do a number on my archers, unfortunately. Okay, yep, we've got the archers running. Alright, there goes their Dragon Guard. He's going over here to attack my archers. Let's get in there with the general. Let's take care of that. Our Scarlet Shields are also a scary unit. Swording skirmishers are getting into the fight. They're going to do pretty well against Cav. We just need to skirmish away, kill the general, and then we should have the rest of it all figured out. Alright, we caught him. Alright, he's down. Alright, let's bring these guys over here. The very axemen are routing. Check out that route. So you just need your footmen to hold on just long enough. Okay, so we're trying now to deal with the enemy horse archers. That's going to be the biggest problem. But we've got some very scary cavalry at this point. Alright, all of the infantry, I believe, is now routing. And we'll bring the cavalry back. And maybe we can do something similar with this general. This army here looks even weaker than the previous one. But the Dragon Guard looks stronger, so let's see if we can get them. They do have some Variag warriors, actually. This is a very tough two-handed axe unit. We're doing a number on their Dragon Guard, down to 9 men, and we're losing a lot of our own cav. Alright, let's pull out. I can't take it. Bring the Swordings over. Alright, now we can... No, no, you're not going to do a charge. Alright, pull back. Alright, now we'll do it. The Variag warriors are going to waste time chasing our skirmishers and archers, and they'll be pretty vulnerable to that. We'll put you on skirmish, though. Just 2 men of their bodyguard remaining. Yeah, and look how quickly we routed them. They're down to 12 men already. Alright, I want to bring in the horse archers now, I think, just to get ready for chasing this router. He doesn't know he's a router yet, but he will be. Alright, we need to get up here because I have a feeling he's just running for the hills. We've got to intercept with our cav. And down goes the enemy general. We'll continue the battle, clean it up, and see if we got the settlement. Alright, we got Parcherev. That's great news. We'll lay desolate here. It's a bit of a shame, though. There's not that many people there. Let's expel populace. This is sort of a middle-of-the-road option. We can use the population in our other settlements. The king has departed Middle-earth, Mutamid of Umbar, and we've got a new king, Fuinir of Central Haradwaith, down pursuing the siege at Adabar. Let's pick up some mercenaries from him. It's a fitting end to our first kingship. The first king there, he basically saw the subjugation of our northern neighbor, the Principality of Harondor. They're now sitting happily under the crown, under the Empire of Harad. But the war is not over. The campaign is not done. We have a couple of new enemies in the east, and we've made some gains already, taking Parchereb. Now, the nice thing about Parchereb is that at your first tier, very first tier of military development, you can train Parchereb tribesmen. They're like red sand archers in sort of armor, in ranged capability. They have 90 men, only 70 upkeep, a fantastic deal. But they're really useful against certain kinds of cavalry because instead of just a dagger, they have a long two-handed spear. So this is a very interesting unit. I always like to get them, and so we can get started on that pretty quickly, in fact. So now the fight has fallen to our new king, our new Emperor of Harad, Fuinir of Central Haradwaith. He's already quite an inspired governor. He's had a lot of experience running Caranbad in his father's reign. But now, with the reins of power in his own hand, we're going to see how his generalship works out. We're going to try to use him to take settlements along the southern borders of Far Harad. And with all of these armies freed up, we don't even need to train anything for a while. We may want to beef up our garrison in Karasagar, but we're going to be sweeping east along the southern border, taking up 1, 2, and 3 settlements from Far Harad. Obviously, we're going to try not to eliminate them because what we ultimately want to do is use them as a buffer against Khand. And once that happens, we will have a completely impregnable corner of the map. No one will touch us. We've got basically just friendly buffer states all around us. The mountains of shadow to the north, the impassable desert to the south, the sea to the west. The only avenue for attack will be by ship, and we are ruling the waves at the moment. Once we get that protectorate stuff all figured out, we are going to be set to do whatever we want, and boy, do I have some fun things planned. So I hope you'll join me for the next episodes, folks. We're going to put Far Harad on the menu next time. We'll see how far we get with them, and until then, take care.